It is 6:00 am. Your alarm goes off. You hit snooze, dreading the next 60 minutes of rushing to get ready, sitting in traffic, and clocking into a building where you trade the best hours of your day for a paycheck that barely covers the inflation of 2026. You tell yourself this is normal. You tell yourself this is security. But here is the brutal reality. The 9-to-5 model is an artifact. It was designed for an economy that no longer exists. In 2026, loyalty to a single income stream is the riskiest financial position you can be in. We have seen the layoffs. We have seen the quiet cuts. We have seen AI automate entire departments. If your entire existence depends on one direct deposit, you are one Zoom call away from financial devastation. Today, we are not talking about side hustles that pay you $20 an hour. We are not talking about gambling on crypto or hoping for a lottery win. We are executing the 9-to-5 escape plan. This is a blueprint to build a portfolio of passive income streams that actually work. We are going to dissect the math behind rental properties, the specific mechanics of dividend arbitrage, and the architecture of digital assets like online courses. By the end of this video, you will have a step-by-step roadmap to replace your salary. But I warn you, this requires capital, intelligence, and patience. If you are looking for easy money, click off now. If you want to build wealth that outlives you, let's begin. We start with the foundation, the capital engine. You cannot build passive income without active income first. This is the trap most people miss. They try to invest with $0. In 2026, the strategy is hyper-accumulation. You need to treat your job not as a career, but as a venture capital firm funding your freedom. Step 1. The 40% rule. Most people save whatever is left over after they spend. That is the math of the poor. To escape, you must invert the equation. You must save first, spend second. The target number is 40% of your take-home pay. If that sounds impossible, you have an income problem or a spending problem. Let's do the real math. Imagine you earn $75,000 a year. After taxes, that's roughly $60,000 in hand. If you spend freely, maybe you save $5,000 a year. At that rate, you will retire at 75. But if you adopt the hyper-accumulation mindset, you ruthlessly cut lifestyle or increase income to save $2,000 a month. That is $24,000 a year. Why does this matter? Because $24,000 a year invested at an 8% return becomes $150,000 in just 5 years. That $150,000 is your ticket. That is the seed capital for the rental property. That is the funding for the business. You cannot skip step 1. You must become a machine of accumulation. Optimize your taxes. Max out your 401k to lower your taxable income. Use the 2-year switch strategy we discussed in previous protocols to jump jobs and increase your salary by 20% every 2 years. The goal is to reach critical mass, usually $100,000 in liquid investable assets. Once you hit that number, the game changes. Now, let's move to the first passive pillar, dividend arbitrage. The old advice was buy and hold growth stocks. That is great for 30 years from now. But we want cash flow now to replace the salary. In 2026, the markets are volatile. The old world strategy of relying solely on capital appreciation is gambling. The new strategy is yield maximization. Step 2. The dividend ladder. We are looking for aristocrats, companies that have increased dividends for 25 consecutive years, and high-yield ETFs that pay monthly. Here is the math on how this replaces your rent payment. Let's say you have saved $50,000 from step 1. You do not let it sit in a bank account losing value to inflation. You build a portfolio of high-quality dividend stocks and ETFs like JAPI or SHTI, aiming for a conservative 5% yield. $50,000 invested at 5% yields $2,500 a year. That is roughly $200 a month. You might think, that's nothing. That's a utility bill. You are thinking small. That $200 is a permanent soldier. It works while you sleep. But here is where the magic happens, the compound reinvestment. You do not spend that dividend, you reinvest it. In year 1, you earn $2,500. In year 2, those dividends buy more shares, which generate more dividends. If you continue adding $1,000 a month from your 9-to-5 job into this ladder, the math accelerates exponentially. Let's look at the 10-year projection. Investing $1,000 a month into a 5% yielding portfolio. After 10 years, you have invested $120,000 of your own money. But thanks to compound interest and dividend growth, your portfolio is worth nearly $160,000. And the annual dividend payout? It's roughly $8,000 a year. That is $650 a month of pure passive income. That covers your car payment. That covers your groceries. The goal of the dividend ladder is to create a floor income. This is the safety net. If you lose your job tomorrow, this income keeps the lights on. It buys you time. But to escape the 9-to-5 entirely, we need bigger cash flow. We need leverage. This brings us to the second passive pillar, rental real estate. Real estate is the ultimate wealth accelerator because you are using the bank's money to build your equity. Step 3. The cash flow property. Forget speculating on appreciation. In 2026, with interest rates fluctuating, you cannot bank on the house going up 10% a year. You must buy based on cash flow. We use the 1% rule as a filter. If a house costs $200,000, it must rent for at least $2,000 a month. If it rents for $5,300, it is a bad deal. Walk away. Let's break down the numbers on a solid rental property. Purchase price, $250,000. Down payment, 20%, $50,000. Mortgage including taxes and insurance, $1,600 a month. Rent income, $2,400 a month. Gross profit, $800 a month. But wait, you never budget for gross profit. You budget for the 50% rule. Half of your gross rent usually goes to maintenance, vacancies, and management. So, $2,400 rent / 2-cuck $1,200 net operating income. Subtract the mortgage of $1,600, you have a negative cash flow of $400. This is the trap most beginners fall into. They buy a property that costs them money every month. That is not an asset, that is a liability. To make this work, you need a better deal or a better strategy. We use the BRRRR method: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Let's say you find a distressed property for $180,000. It needs $40,000 in repairs. All in cost, $220,000. After repairs, the house is worth $280,000. You rent it out for $2,300. You go to the bank and do a cash-out refinance on the new value of $280,000. The bank lends you 80% of that value, which is $224,000. You pay back your initial investment of $220,000. You now own a house with zero of your own money stuck in it. And you have $4,000 in cash flow left over. The rent covers the mortgage. The tenant pays down the principal. The asset appreciates. You have created $2,300 a month in income, and you have none of your original capital tied up. You can now take that capital and do it again. This is how you build a rental empire, one door at a time. But it requires work. It is not truly passive. It is leveraged active income. If you want true passive income, where you do nothing but check an app, you move to the third pillar. Step 4. The digital asset empire. This is the new frontier for 2026. We are living in the creator economy, but you don't need to be an influencer dancing on camera. You need to be a publisher. Digital products have zero marginal cost. If you sell a physical chair, you have to build a new one for every customer. If you sell a digital course or template, you build it once and sell it infinitely. Let's look at the math of a micro course. You have a skill. Maybe you are an accountant. Maybe you know how to use Excel. Maybe you are a mechanic who knows how to fix a specific engine. You record a series of 20 videos teaching that skill. It takes you 2 months of weekends to produce. You edit them, upload them to a platform like Teachable or Gumroad. You price the course at $150. To make $5,000 a month, a significant chunk of a salary, you need to sell 33 courses a month. That is roughly one sale a day. Is it hard? Yes. It requires marketing, it requires building an audience or running ads. But once the machine is built, the maintenance is low. Let's compare the hourly math. Job, you work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. 2,000 hours, you make $75,000. Your hourly rate is $37.50. If you stop working, the money stops. Course, you spend 200 hours building the course and the marketing funnel. In year 1, you sell 300 courses at $150. Total revenue, $45,000. Your effective hourly rate for that work is $225 an hour. But here is the kicker. In year 2, you sell another 300 courses. You didn't work those 200 hours again. You might spend 20 hours updating the material. Your hourly rate in year 2 is nearly $2,000 an hour. This is the concept of decoupling time from money. The 9-to-5 sells your time. The digital asset sells your value. You can also do this with ebooks, templates, or stock photography. The strategy is simple. Identify a painful problem. Solve it digitally. Price the solution low enough for impulse buys, high enough to make profit. Automate the delivery. Now, how do we put this all together? The escape protocol. You cannot quit your job on day 1. That is suicide. You need to build the plane while flying it. Here is the timeline to freedom. Phase 1. The accumulation phase, years 1-3. You keep the 9-to-5. You adopt the 40% savings rule. You build your cash engine. You start the dividend ladder. You aim for $20,000 in liquid investments. You start researching your first rental deal or building your first digital product on the weekends. You are tired. You are working 60 hours a week. This is the price of freedom. Phase 2, the hybrid phase, years 4-6. Your dividend ladder throws off $400 a month. You own one rental property netting $400 a month. You launched a digital product making $1,000 a month. Total passive income, $1,800 a month. This covers your car, your insurance, and your food. You now have FU money. You can negotiate better terms at work. You can take risks. You are no longer a slave to the paycheck. Phase 3, the escape velocity, years 7-10. You have saved aggressively. Your portfolio is worth $300,000. Dividends are now $15,000 a year. You have 2 rental properties netting $1,500 a month. Your digital assets are automated and making $2,000 a month. Total passive income, $45,000 a year. If you live frugally, if you have anchored your lifestyle, as we discussed in previous protocols, $45,000 covers your baseline survival. You can quit the 9-to-5. You have escaped. This is not a fantasy. This is a math equation. The inputs are discipline, capital, and time. The output is freedom. Most people will not do this. They will watch this video, feel motivated for 10 minutes, and then open TikTok. They will stay in the matrix. They will complain about the economy while buying a $7 coffee. But you are different. You are now armed with the protocol. You know the math of the dividend ladder. You understand the leverage of real estate. You see the scalability of digital assets. The 9-to-5 is not a life sentence. It is a tool. Use it to fund your escape. Start small. Save the first $1,000. Buy the first fractional share. Write the first outline for the course. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Stop building someone else's dream. Start building your own balance sheet. The escape plan is active. The clock is ticking. Get to work.